discuss. So let's see what's going on. And we're live. Just like that, we are live. Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, y'all. We are back on Patreon. I'm your host, JustLatasha, doing a dissection for Candyman Weekend. I am thrilled about Candyman Weekend because I love Black horror and I love seeing Black people get fucked up on screen. What's the bad deal about that? I like horror. I like seeing like gory stuff. I like disturbing stuff, you know, like a horror movie, all right? So the fact that we've come along this 30-year cycle, what an exciting weekend for film, huh? So to prerequisite the conversation we'll be having tomorrow about the 2021 version of Candyman, we got to understand the history and the origins, right? So today we are dissecting the 1992 version of Candyman. And of course, today is a VIP dissection. I have some lovely patrons on video with me to also share their thoughts and ideas. Does anyone want to come in and say hi to the people real quick?
What up, what up?
It's Khaled right there, and we have Ella's waving. All right, there we go. So, Barty, I see you in the chat. How are you? Good to see you. Today is the 29th, which means next week is my birthday, September 5th, which means I won't be on here. I'll be ignorant in Brooklyn somewhere. But when we come back on Patreon in 2 weeks, we are changing the time frame again because summer is over, ladies and gentlemen. It has come to a close. We're back at work. We're back in school. We're sitting our asses down. And this is going to be, I believe, I don't want to pre-announce, but I'm feeling like this should be an evening show. I'm feeling 7 p.m. EST Sunday evenings. Let me know in the chat how y'all feel about that hour, wherever you are, make the time zone adjustment, but I'm feeling like a Sunday evening would be beneficial for all because there are some people who would like to join whose time zones don't allot for a 12 p.m. show. And that's right before prime time on TV, so you guys can get into all your Housewives, your Fox shows, your CBSs, whatever else you guys watch on Sunday nights. It comes right in on the end. So let me know what you think, but I think this is the last 12 p.m. EST show. Tomorrow, of course, I'm on YouTube Live every Monday, 6 p.m. EST. So we'll be discussing the new the new 2021 Candyman. So today we're talking about the 1992 Candyman. Does anyone have any initial thoughts on this film that they would like to share?
It's iconic. It's timeless. Nothing more to say.
Short and sweet, Khaled. Ella's cool. Ella's cool. Okay. Okay. Ella's just happy to be here. Great. I have questions about Candyman, which as we dive in, I'll pose the questions to you and I'll ask them and kind of review them myself. But let's see where we all go with it, all right? Let's see where we go with this. So Candyman 1992, the Candyman, a murderous soul with a hook for a hand, is accidentally summoned to reality by a skeptic grad student researching the monster's myth, directed by Bernard Rose, a white man, and written by Clive and Bernard Rose, two white men. Stars Virginia Madsen, Xander Berkeley, and of course, the infamous Tony Todd. Is Tony Todd alive? I don't want to send my Black King home early. Okay, we don't know. We don't know if he's alive or not. We hope he is. I don't know.
I just checked. He is.
He is? Okay.
Oh, yeah, he's
thanks,
alive.
Google King. Thank you so much. Because I was like, I ain't even checked. All right, he's still with us. That's great. That's great for Black folks all around. Yeah, I know I love to start with an opening shot. Also, before we dive in, may I talk a bit about the 2021 version in this show, or do you guys not want to hear it until tomorrow?
Spoiler free, please. Spoiler free. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Okay.
It's not a spoiler. It's a remake.
It kind.
I haven't seen it.
No. It rides that line. I'm not going to spoil. Tomorrow is definitely spoilers. I'm wondering how to approach this. Maybe I'll just leave it out. Maybe I'll just save all the 2021 commentary for tomorrow. That's what I'll do. Okay. So in this opening shot, we have an aerial view and we are peering from the sky down, right? And in this original take, this is sort of society's view on Chicago and on Candyman, the urban myth, right? And even when we start off, his infamous death is due to all these honeybee stings. So they do a bunch of visuals that appear parallel to honeycombs. And as you can see, this golden yellow building structure reflects and looks like a honeycomb. So we'll actually be seeing quite a few of those in today's dissection, which I thought was really cool. And it's sort of this gaze over the two different sides of Chicago. This is a social commentary about classism and about racism. And I wonder, with our protagonist, the woman, the white woman that we're following throughout, and the white hands that made this movie, is it particularly a white gaze over the two sides of Chicago? Because sometimes they seem to have gotten it real right. I wonder who they was talking to outside. And then sometimes it was like, we could tell. So we're just gonna look at it. We're just gonna look at it. Let's dive into our protagonist, this lovely, beautiful white queen, Helen, who is a researcher of urban legends and folklore at the University of Illinois. Abe Artie is down for 2021 talks. But we'll do spoilers tomorrow, but I might just like mention some moments here. So if and when you guys go see the 2021 version, they're actually using the same color themes here as well, which is broken down in these opening shots. When we meet Helen, we have blue, which is representative of this real world that we occupy and we live in, versus that honeybee yellow. Candyman land, right? The presence of Candyman. And Bernadette, Helen's Black friend, her partner in crime, the person who's also researching this myth alongside of her, is getting stories of Candyman by asking people around Chicago. And we start to see this yellow become more prominent as they keep asking people the story of Candyman, because this is signaling his approach into our world. So we have a theme when we're starting this story off, right? We're speaking of Candyman, the urban legend, the myth, is something only real once it's believed, right? So as we look at this bottom right photo with Helen and her husband, she's like, who's the side piece? Who's the secondary lady that keep looking at you, blushing, getting all red in the cheeks? Who is she, right? She believes her husband got some little chick on the side, but what does he do? He's like, nah, girl, everything's all right, everything's fine, you tripping. So she believes it. Is it real? And what he does is create a disbelief to make sure that it ain't real. So we're kind of toying into our mindsets and what we create for ourselves, what we manifest for ourselves when we bring what we believe from our thoughts into a physical plane. So this little side piece thing may be true or not. We don't quite know. Sis looks like Chloe Bailey, girl. Callis says something was real fishy about that first student's Candyman story. I'm gonna speak on it later though, because I got a big theory. I can't wait to hear it. The actress that played Bernadette directed East Bayou. Sure did. Shout out to Kazi Lemons. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's dive further in. Helen begins to form her Candyman article, right? And we see when she's typing this article, she's typing in that real world blue, which draws him closer. She's in the classroom, and before the janitor enters, a shadow enters representing a force, an entity, a being, right? This shadow enters the room, approaching Helen first. Of course, it's on that Candyman yellow door. So I noticed also that this shadow is inverted. This janitor is entering backwards. And to me, this feels not only just like this oncoming presence of Candyman, but the fact that they play a lot with mirrors and reflections and all of these like doubles and visual doubles and all of that, right? So the fact that they're like sort of back to back is showing the presence of two very different worlds, something that actually may be connected to her. And obviously, this appears as a reflection to Helen, but she's already being lured. She's way too intrigued, way too early. I was wondering why she was typing on a blue background. I took blue to represent skepticism and disbelief of the urban legend. It could be because there's a lot of resistance. There was a lot of resistance when these researchers came in to do their job, right? But when these Black ladies came in, I said, something's in the water. Something's up. Something is up. So let's start from the origin story of Candyman, who is the 19th century artist, Daniel Robitaille. It's French. Is it French? Obviously played by Tony Todd, this 19th century artist who was horrifically murdered for impregnating a white woman. He was severely beaten, his hands sawed off and replaced with a rusty hook. Then he is covered in honey, stung by hundreds of bees, and burned alive. So a real man is going through all these torturous things, right? But something turns from that into the urban legend where we understand that a woman in a public housing project, Ruby Jean, is a woman who sees Candyman, the spirit, calls 911, asks for help, but she isn't believed, right? And I think from here, we're already starting our social commentary about the optic of class status, social status of Black people in impoverished cities, right? Specifically, I don't think it's a mistake that it's two Black women telling the story of the harm of another Black woman who wasn't believed or helped. And even when they're telling this white woman the story, Helen is still kind of sitting there like, all right, yeah, let's hear it. Should we start slapping people in the teeth early? You know what I mean? There's fear in these Black women, and Helen's sort of just kind of, okay. So Candyman, after his death, becomes a super powerful natural being who haunts Cabrini Green, the housing complex on Chicago's North Side. So even bigger social commentary, and my VIPs, if you want to jump in and add to the conversation, you are more than welcome. Inner city Black people are under constant terror. So in this movie, it's in the form of Candyman. It's in this supernatural spirit who haunts and terrorizes people, but also the actual terror of being Black in Cabrini Green, Chicago. Police, intracommunal crimes, poverty. What's the theme here? Who is coming to help us? Who is coming to save us, right? Who can we call on? Nobody. Also, this theme of white people tending to not believe Black people, specifically Black women, which I believe is why Nia DaCosta and Tiana Paris took the lead in Candyman 2021. White people do not believe Black people or their pain and leave them up to be harmed, right? So what is terror for white people? If this is terror for Black people, what's terror for white people? Black people and their culture / urban legends and their communities. Candyman is, his original murder site is in the impoverished side of Chicago. That is symbolic for the constant terror that poor Black people are under all the time. We can even see in this very shot the class difference between the white and the Black women, right? How this white woman goes towards the danger for her recreational use or her career advancement. And these Black women are like, don't say that. Don't say that. Any thoughts, VIPs?
I would say, I think to your previous point, like white people have the privilege of not being afraid of anything. Like they have the privilege to walk carefree through life. And for Black people, it makes me think about like superstitions and how they were birthed out of like real life dangerous situations, and they become like this urban legend, but they actually come from tangible like fears from things that actually happen.
Yeah, Khaled added a really useful point that says Ruthie Jean's death was based on the real life murder of a woman named Ruthie Mae McCoy, whose intruder also entered through her bathroom mirror. That bathroom mirror connecting apartments was actually pretty common in a lot of apartments, and even some TikToker discovered that their bathroom mirror connects right through a wall to somebody else's abandoned apartment, and you watch them crawl through it. They were white, because absolutely not. Not over here. Anything else, Khaled, before we move on?
Yeah, to jump off of Elle's point, I think, yeah, like there is like this tangible connection to all these like gruesome murders and all these gruesome deaths in Cabrini Green, and then the white people will just write it off as like this urban legend, and they attribute that to like other situations. Because I remember in the first story, apparently that took place in Indiana, and that's nowhere near Cabrini Green. And so, you know, these white people, they take these urban legends that transpire from real Black pain and just like project them anywhere, and they try to like sensationalize, while also in this sort of like, oh, it can never happen to me, it's just a game. But yeah, it's sort of like, and especially with Helen investigating this with her biases already, I think it's very telling.
I was also wondering about her having a Black friend, like a bougie Black friend, curly hair, light skin, middle class. I imagine she has the same money as Helen, and she's kind of riding this ride with her. Are Bernadette and Helen financially yoked? Are they equal? I don't know. They seem equal. So I was wondering, Bernadette don't seem like these two Black women janitors is what I'm getting at. Like she seemed a little socioeconomically higher than the two Black women that we're looking at right now. So I was wondering her take, but we kind of never got her take or point of view on any of this. Sounds about right. So just visually, looking at these honeycomb structures again, now at this point in the movie, after she's asking questions, doing research, figuring things out, this is the first time we see a reflection for Helen, right? So this is imposing again from the color yellow to the shadow on the door to Helen finally being reflected in this mirror-like glass structure, honeycomb thing, right? This urban legend, the more she looks at it, the more she speaks of it, is starting to form and become true, right? So let's talk gentrification. Let's just stop here for a second, right? Helen lives in this luxury high rise that used to be the public housing projects. And she says that the foundation under the alabaster and the fanciness of the walls is still very much that old structure. They just built newness on top of it, right? So we can already start see like these colors telling a story as well. Red, where Helen, you in danger, girl. You don't even know it. But also, you are a gentrifier and a white woman taking over Black space in a Black town. So you also are the harm in this community. We're starting to see like this green, especially the green plants. And y'all have watched several of my dissections. Y'all have heard me say this before, where we're starting a new journey. And whether or not Helen is conscious of this new journey that she's even on, because something is happening to her, we're starting on this new path, right? There's also something in this bottom left corner that they also do a lot in the 2021 when you guys go see it, where these inanimate objects, these masks, these faces, it feels like such a presence. It feels like our characters are being watched. It feels like they are not alone, and we know why and who that is. So daring her Black ass friend to say Candyman 3 times in the bathroom mirror. Okay. Helen does it. Black ass Bernadette does not. And this is the first time that we actually see Helen and her reflection meet and touch. She's officially merged with Candyman Land, the underworld. Dun, 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 dun. Khaled says, peep how Candyman didn't appear when they said his name 5 times. I disagree, and here's why. I think Candyman is right here. The way the camera moves through the apartment from the bathroom mirror where they did call his name 5 times to watching Helen, sort of peering over Helen, I think he's very much there. I think he very much was summoned. And we can assume that that very following sequence, that very following shot was his entrance from where they called him into her home, into the real world. However, Candyman needs you to believe in him strongly in order for him to have access to affect the physical reality. So even though he's here and he's been called, Helen still don't quite believe him. She's like, let's call his name. This is stupid. So he's invisible. He can't quite cause harm yet. He can't quite, oh, but baby, he's there. Somebody say my name. Who called me, right? Who called me? So we land upon another theme here. What if, well, this is the same thing. We're reiterating the theme that we previously stated. What if urban legends become real enough if people believed in them? Look what's hanging over Helen's bed. Isn't this essentially how we believe in gods and religions and have faith? Because we believe in it so hard that it's so real. And then you're like, God sent me a sign. Oh shit, that was the devil. Back up off me saying, get thee behind. I saw, I heard, it happened. Like, we believe so hard that it's real. And so this very much mirrors the art of religion and how the human mind works. And Candyman doesn't bother anyone until the stories about him begin to spread. You speak his name and it brings power. That's like manifestation in a nutshell. That's just how it all works. That's just how it all works. If you guys are curious, not quite a spoiler, but this sequence is recreated in 2021. When you guys see it, you'll notice and see it. And so from there, we are thrust into the second act, right? The literal transition into another world, the car driving on the road. So act 1, you set up who our characters are, what the problem is, what journey they'll be going on. And going into act 2, we're going to differentiate and step out of the world that was set up as normal, right? And of course, we see a red car on a yellow road. They're going directly into the origins of Candyman to do further research. Now, black ass Bernadette, she got a piece in her bag with her because Cabrini Green is nothing to play with. Here's a fun fact, you guys. While filming, Tony Todd is 6'5", okay? But while filming, they were in the very real projects of Cabrini Green, which was very dangerous. And Tony Todd said this: I tried to come here with no expectations, but I still felt fear. Anybody who didn't belong there was subject to danger. The cops told me to keep my eyes out on rooftops for snipers. So not only was this just in the movie, but it was real life. Cabrini Green projects of Chicago, that was real life, and that was not cute. Let's show Helen's descension into Candyman Land, right? And we could see the transition from start to finish, where Helen goes into the Cabrini Green projects, finds the original murder point, Ruby Jean's bathroom mirror. So from her touching her own reflection, to her diving into Ruby Jean's bathroom mirror, to her emerging from the side of a Candyman murder, right? She's on the Candyman Land, opposite side of the reflection, on the inverting from the real world dimension that she's in. And this is really another theme that we have here, the theme of inversion, because as we called Candyman in Helen's bathroom mirror, she discovers his presence, or she discovers his sight through Ruby's bathroom mirror, right? And she has officially entered his world. Let's see what y'all saying in the chat. Elle says, the way I would not have been in the movie, snipers, getting stung all in the face too. He better have made a beautiful check, because baby. A. Barty says, Tony Todd was very committed to his role. Absolutely. Yaya said, not my face. Bees. Yaya said, not me, honey. Keep me pretty. We kept Yaya pretty, okay? Absolutely not. He got a post for GQ. Not on today. So let's meet another character. VIPs and anyone in the chat, would we like to take a moment and dissect the shots that we currently see, right? On the top left, we see the back of Helen's head in a yellow mirror, and just a shot of seeing Anne-Marie with her son, Anthony. What do we feel we see from the visuals?
First, like I noticed the distance between them, so they're like near the door in a different room, and then she with her babies in a different room, and there's this, I don't know if there's ever been a shot with them in the same frame. I don't know, I can't remember, but there's like a split difference between them.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that painting now, are the art above the baby's crib. So it's red and yellow. So I'm seeing like the danger, but also the savior.
Which part is the savior?
The yellow. So like the yellow is like, that's the salvation, and it's the end, but he's also like in danger.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned the pictures, because this is the first time I'm noticing the pictures as well. What I would pull from the photos, the red and yellow, is that Candyman yellow would cause harm to Anthony. That's what I would get from it. And then when we see Helen, she's the only one reflected in a gold or a yellow mirror. After she's crossed worlds and realms, she's officially bound with Candyman and what he pulls her in for. He pulls her interest and curiosity in for. I'm going to save it for later. But I like what you said, because I think that could work for later as well. Elle said, white people climbing through everything. That's very on brand. I also felt with this super wide shot with Anne-Marie, I feel like it's the same thing as like when we see like these masks hanging on the wall and these like little inanimate objects that make you just feel like another presence is there. Usually when we go so wide like that, it's usually meant to feel optical to being watched, to someone else viewing, peering, just being around and looking at. So as these women are so far apart away from each other, Helen is reflected in the mirror, and then we have that yellow frame over Anthony's crib. It's like he's here, baby. That's just what I'm picking up. It's like he's here. But Anne-Marie is the neighbor of Ruby Jean, the original woman killed by Candyman. And like Helen, their apartments connect, right? And like Helen, the connecting apartment is vacant, right? That theme of inversion again. So Anne-Marie is holding her son, Anthony, and she's the person who confirms to Helen, look, this thing is real. It's not some research paper or whatever. This is very real. And we can see Anne-Marie is dressed in red because, one, she's harmed and hurt by this urban legend, right? Her neighbor's apartment has been empty for however long. She got to live next to that. And this white lady coming up, sniffing around in our neighborhood. You're bringing harm to our city, right? And you're bringing harm by even talking about this urban legend, which in our community, we collectively agreed as broke Black people, we're not even going to say that name because we know what happened. So you coming around here saying his name and not minding your business. You're causing a lot of harm right now. You're causing a lot of harm. The second confirmation, shout out to Jake. I think this little boy did a wonderful job. He's the second confirmation to Helen that Candyman is real. And of course, we have this honeycomb structure on Helen's face as she's officially merged with the spirit realm of Candyman. Jumping into the chat and talking to my VIPs, there's this theme that I don't quite get, and I want to get your takes on it as well. There's a theme of like eyes and sight, or losing an eye, or there's always this halo over Helen's eyes, or like the original Candyman was an artist. So it's like this optical creative talent. And Helen is a photographer, so she's using her eyes for creativity. How do we feel and what do we think about the eye and what that could possibly mean to the theme of what we're all setting up, what we're all setting up?
I think perception. So like things are not always what you see through your lens. And even the way that she wants to tell the story, like she's trying to frame it in the way that she wants to tell it and not the way that it actually is.
I like that.
She meant like the Candyman, but
the Candyman.
I mean, technically he was the Candyman.
I think for Helen specifically, seeing is believing. So she's not going to believe it until she sees it. And Candyman feeds off of the belief. So for her, it has to, the symbolism has to do with her eyes, and she has to see it in order to believe it. And that's why later on he appears to her.
I wrote that down too. I was kind of like, does this mean seeing is believing? Because she's being so resistant to this urban legend that people are telling her is absolutely real. I'm trying not to talk about the 2021 version. I buy it. I really like, Elle, what you said about perception, because that ties into the theme of believing. Like if you believe it so hard, then you can see it. So right before she gets confirmation for herself that Candyman is real, these goons in the hood blacked that eye. They took away her sight in order for her to believe harder. So I was watching it. I was like, what is the eyes and the sight and the eyes? And I'm like, what is that? So perception and the seeing is believing, which I do think ties into the original theme. I like it. A-Bar T, what you feel? What you think? Let's see what's going on. Yeah, it felt very, very eyes wide shut. Like, hello, the story is right here, but you're not physically seeing it yet. I like it. So let's see here, since y'all so smart. Dissect this now. Why does the husband have a shadow? And why is Helen in green? Since y'all think y'all know everything.
Maybe green is a combination of blue and yellow. And the shadow, there's another side to him, definitely. He's coming home late, or he's not picking up when she calls. There's another side to him that he's hiding from her.
Ladies and gentlemen, babies, oh my God. Khaled has spoken at him. Yes. I'm so happy. I'm trying not to jump out of my seat. Yes. They're both at this point existing in two worlds, right? Helen is in Candyman land consciously. She don't know it, but she's in Candyman land as well as the real world. And of course, who was that girl you was talking to all nice in the classroom? I don't like that. So he's living another life as well, right? He's existing in there. There's a secret there, all right? If and when you guys go see 2021, remember this shot, okay? They paid a lot of homage to the original Candyman land, so you guys will notice that back and forth. So here we are in the midpoint of the film. Since you've been wanting him so bad, since you've been asking for him, since you can't see, directly at the midpoint of the film, we finally meet Candyman, played by Tony Todd. Now, here's where we branch into the second part of Act 2, where we F the world all the way up. Act 1, you introduced us to the world. Act 2, we have to uncover some stuff we didn't quite know about the world, and everything's been real cute up until this part. Now we got to F it all up. Let's disturb the story and the characters, right? Let's make it all bad. So here we have the camera literally creating a visual inversion when we finally meet Candyman in the physical. Now, I thought this was well done in the original, the pacing of the movie. We actually don't see him until half the movie has gone on, right? We've heard about him. However, with the visuals that we've been looking at so far, his presence has been there the entire time, but we actually do not see Candyman until well into the movie. I don't want to spoil 2021. I'll talk about it tomorrow. I won't mention the second part, but I think the pacing here was well done because we kept his name in our mouth since the beginning. We may not even have realized it took this long to actually see and meet him. And under Candyman's spell, Helen appears to have murdered Anne Marie's son, Anthony, who was gone missing, right? We see that color red everywhere. They are officially harmed. Now, again, playing into this theme of inversions. The original murdered woman, Ruby Jean, wasn't believed when she called for help. Now, Helen is not believed when Candyman sets her up as a suspect of murder. She is completely encompassed in Candyman's world in her real life. Look at all the yellow now. Remember, it was that little yellow poster in the opening shot when she was in the classroom, and now she's surrounded by yellow, right? This is all Candyman's doing to affect her real life, that blue. So, as we see in the secondary photo to your right, when her husband picks her up to take her home, again, they're in this honeycomb structure. You can run, but you can't hide, ma'am. You're here. This is Candyman's land now. You called me. What's up? Okay. And they exit. I found this interesting. They exit this honeycomb structure from the reflective side. So every time Helen is looking in a mirror, it's sort of this right to left. So when they're leaving this honeycomb structure, they're leaving from the left to right, visually noting that this is definitely Candyman's world and they're trying to get back to their real world. And this was really funny because she wanted so bad some visibility for her work. She wanted to be the star photographer, urban legend writer, researcher. Oh, you got that attention all right. You got fame all right, but not in the way that you wanted, right? Be careful what you ask for is always what they say. And this becomes another theme of inversion, right? She goes from photographing everything, getting this evidence, taking her camera everywhere, to being hyper photographed. She is now the object of this urban legend Candyman, right? She's the object of, she's the target. And at this point, Helen is filled with shame and the news media frenzy, what they do for all white terrorists. They didn't say her name. The media frenzy kept her identity private from the public, and they just said this woman did this thing to Anne-Marie and her son. Keep that in mind for people who were going to go see the 2021 version, which I will discuss tomorrow. So let me jump in here again with my VIPs in the chat, of course. Candyman sets her up again, killed my bitch Bernadette for no reason. And Candyman needed Helen to be as famous as she became, because when he kills her, the world will see and the world will say his name, making him the most powerful haunting, right? Making his presence much more prominent. Now, asking you guys, there's a new color that starts to form here, the color white. And so I wanted to get your take on what white could possibly mean for Helen in the story. Elle said, the way this could have been prevented if she would have minded her business. A says, Jordan Peele did a great job keeping up with the original while also adding his own touch. And A Barty says, I didn't even notice that. He set her up to be believed by people like she wasn't believing in him. I wouldn't have been studying this hard. I'll tell you that. Do we feel anything about the color white, y'all?
Maybe it's like her innocence, and then the blood on top of that is stripping away her innocence.
I'm thinking death. This is when she starts to die.
That's interesting. That's interesting because at this point, Candyman is absolutely isolating her, gaslighting the world, gaslighting her in this world and making everyone see her as crazy when she absolutely does have the truth. You said something earlier, Ellen, I was like, oh, I don't want to say it yet because maybe that applies here. You said sacrifice. Because I'm looking at, if the theme is seeing is believing, and do beliefs become real if we believe in them hard enough, and Helen sleeps under a Christian cross. So now that she's framed for the murder of this baby and she's laying on the floor in sort of this like crucifixional, you said the word sacrifice earlier. And I'm thinking white possibly means sacrifice, which she would do in her death, because you guys also said death. She's willing to sacrifice her life. She's willing to enter death to help Anne-Marie because she knows she didn't do this murder on Anthony. How we feel?
Yeah.
So I'm like, she keep laying in that cross. So I'm like, it's feeling sacrificial. You know, the white saviors love to come on in, mess everything up and be like, oh, I guess I fix it now. You're bad. like, man, you're bad.
Kind of like a parallel to what happened to him though. So maybe he didn't do, I think Khaled said it in the chat, maybe he didn't do the original murder for Ruthie Jean, or Ruthie, I can't remember her name. Maybe Candyman didn't actually do that murder either. And so here he's setting her up to feel like what he felt and go through what he went through.
Can we talk about that? I feel like I get lost with what had happened. So the original guy impregnated a white woman, got slammed to death. But was it his spirit that killed Ruby Jean, or was it another man who killed Ruby Jean and they said somebody else? Like, do we know what happened?
I feel like I have a theory on the whole Candyman.
Bang it on us, Calvin, please.
I think, and I've seen like some people back this up as well. I think Candyman, I put in the chat that I think Candyman's first actual murder victim was Bernadette. And I think that every other murder that's been attached to his name has been by like real people, like that gangster that uses the hook to terrorize the neighbor. I think he was committing all these murders, at least in Cabrini Green, because the way that he would enter their homes was through their mirror. But then the legend would be like, he comes through your mirror, but we've never actually seen, as far as those victims go, we haven't seen them like say his name. So why would they be killed by Candyman, the legend, the ghost? So I think that all the crime that's been committed, at least in this neighborhood and like in other places as well, I think those are committed by real people. And that Candyman, the ghost, he lived off of the fear. Like he lived off of people attributing it to him. He lived off of that fear. And then because Helen came in and was so skeptical and was like willing to, shut this down. There's no Candyman. It's just real life murders. I think him being like, oh, she actually doesn't believe me. She doesn't fear me. She's also able to take away my power, and with this report, with this study. So I think his first victim was Bernadette, to be like, bitch, I'm real. Now I'm really gonna come for you and to make you believe. That's my theory. I don't think Candyman was committing these murders until now, until somebody finally stepped up when I was like, I don't believe you.
Wow. Wow. I'm flabbergasted, astonished, blown away, astounded, beside myself. And I think this is where it gets murky, because a lot of people for both this version and 2021, they just have a lot of questions, because we just want to clear up who died, who's the ghost, who's the bad guy now. And it kind of all, and I don't know if that's intentionally the point. What do we believe that will consequently make this tale in the form of this movie? What would we understand this movie to be, depending on what we theorize? Because I'm trying to piece together the actual death of this Black man, the impregnating of a white woman, and the death of Ruby Jean. And I'm like, okay, because if a Black man died, then his ghost keeps coming, X, Y, and Z. But I also don't think you're wrong, because when Helen got that eye blacked, it was that dude in Cabrini Green with the hook who knocked it out. Like that's just simply what happened. And had people not known who that guy was, they was like, that was Candyman. He the one with the hook. So yeah. What up, Mara, who says, just here to send love, hated the film, hearts, love you. Did I teach y'all to be this rude? Is it me? It's so funny. I'm gonna ask more questions, but I'll ask it in just a minute. Okay, so setting up more inversions, but Helen at this point knows Candyman, the spirit, the ghost, the horror of Chicago, Illinois is absolutely real at this point in time, right? And she calls on him to set herself free. However, in exchange, her soul is officially imprisoned, bound, tied to Candyman himself. What an odd way to kill people, from the rooter to the tutor. And he makes sure that he rips you from the groin up. Don't know why. Is that tied to impregnating a white woman, to rip you from the groin? I don't know. What a thing to watch, huh? What a thing to watch. Candyman will absolutely rip you from the rooter to the tutor, and that's the way he prefers to go. Helen was right. Ladies and gentlemen and babies, Helen was absolutely right. Her husband's affair with the side piece is confirmed. Now, this is the first time we've seen this gentle, soft-spoken, curious, kind, excitable young white woman be intentionally volatile, right? She's aggressive. And she uses Candyman's spirit to her advantage, right? She's throwing paint, she's yelling, she's coming in ready to beat somebody's ass. Stacy shivering in the corner, okay? Dressed in blue, having to take care of the wounds, red, of the real world, right? And we can see that she's bound with Candyman, because she is now creating these honeycomb structures in her own world. We see this white honeycomb structure in this new home that she and her husband was supposed to have. Elle says, why didn't she call Candyman on her husband? Now, look, because if you got him in the back pocket, you got him, okay? If you got him, you got him. That man who blacked my eye in the hood with that hood, guess what? Candyman. I don't know if he's going to give you enough time to say it, but I would try, because you really could have messed up my face and they're taking pictures of me now because I'm famous. What are you doing? Okay, if we really about it, right? You don't call on the psychiatrist. He was just doing his job because you look nuts. That's your fault. Could have used that trick on better. I agree, Elle. She could have used that trick on better people, more suiting people. Stacey would have got the hook from me, I'll tell you that. Mara says impaling growing up is very sexual. Seems painful. I'm going to opt out of that act. Seems painful. But again, we're starting to see more white sort of take prevalence, right? What is she willing to sacrifice to set right this harm that she's caused on this town and the people that surround her? What is she willing to give up in order to set things right again? I have questions, and anyone could jump in. I don't leave this movie specifically knowing why Helen. And this image she finds of herself on a wall insinuates that this was predetermined, pre-fated before she even got here to do this work. And I don't think I'm clear on why it needed to absolutely be her, this white woman specifically. There's plenty of white people in that new tall high rise in Chicago. I also don't understand like why he's in love with her. Like taking someone's soul and dragging him to hell for eternity, absolutely, have at it, enjoy. But you're in love. When, and I think that's for specifically Black women. If like you're making a social commentary on race and class between Black and white, why this haunted Black spirit would absolutely fawn over this white woman, I think we're not getting that. Anyone have any input on that? With that Pepto-Bismol pink. Are you talking about the walls? You're talking about the apartment walls, not the woman. Got it. That was my bad. Oh, I think it's because Candyman was fascinated and infatuated by Helen not believing in him.
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, I think she challenged him and she challenged his belief to the point where, you know, whatever reporter study she was doing would have been, I guess, influential enough to dead his legend. And I think also trying to recreate his family that he would have had before he died. So he had a white woman and she was pregnant by him. So I think him trying to lure Helen to be that replacement plus Anthony would replace the child. I think it's trying to recreate this family that he would have had.
Yeah, I definitely have come to that conclusion as well. Like Anthony was supposed to be the missing baby that is missing from his bloodline, and he's supposed to recreate this family that he was murdered for. So like in the horror movie, who was the one with the blind man and the kids came into his house and he was actually killing them because he's actually really good at fighting and killing himself? What is that movie called?
Is it Don't Breathe?
Don't Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Don't Breathe. He lost his family in a tragic accident. So now he's waiting to capture some teenage woman or waiting to capture some woman so he can recreate the family that he lost. But he wasn't in love with them. And it wasn't a specific woman. Like he just wanted this item to be. So I get that. I get his intention of recreating the family that he was murdered for. But the fact that it's Helen and it's so heavy on Helen specifically, I don't get it. That's just me. Mara says she reminds him of his white queen who he fell in love with when he was alive. Yeah. Okay. So maybe this drawing on the wall isn't Helen, it's his actual white queen. Elle says, I'm glad Anthony survived, but I don't like the white savior complex. Look, she came in and messed it up. She owes this. She owes this. But Helen chooses Candyman, offering herself to do right from the hole she opened, and she misleads Candyman, pretending that she's in love in order to save Anthony. I'm sorry, y'all, But this shot was funny as hell. I laugh at it every time. This shit is so funny. That burnt bald head crawling from the ashes while Candyman screams for his love. Don't leave me. So stupid. It's so stupid. The makeup, the patchy hair, the struggle to get this baby out. This is so stupid. I'm sorry, but the baby Anthony is saved and returned to Anne Marie. And of course, we have this yellow fire, Candyman being the Candyman land, his world being destroyed and laid to rest. So we have this full circle moment with his death being recreated by him being burned alive, and as well Helen being burned alive. And we lose Helen. She sacrifices herself to save Anthony. We lose Helen in the fire. This shit was so funny, dog. I'm sorry. That burnt white lady was, she was barbecue. I could not. Yes. I think hair do burn fast, Callie. You look like Jim Carrey from Living Color. The fireman. Oh, it's so stupid. So good. But we are ending cycles. We're doing our themes of inversion. Helen's husband says her name in the mirror 5 times. And as he summons his deceased wife, we see his reflection slowly appear as he comes upon the 5th calling of her name, the same way Helen's reflection started to grow closer and closer and closer to her as she slowly began to believe in Candyman, thus recreating her as the new legend. This theme of inversion where Candyman's realm was yellow, but Helen being this new legend, her realm still remains blue. Can't talk about 2021, I'll save it for tomorrow. And this is also the inversion of how this movie opened, with that random couple discovering Candyman to now the couple that we know sort of embarking on this Candyman legend, becoming the legend themselves, right? So as this story was told to Helen, she becomes the story. And the transfer of his spirit is complete, right? This is sort of this inversion of her face over the city of Chicago. And we sort of have these full circle type things, right? So let's look at the very first shot, the opening shot versus like the last few shots, right? We have this blue hook coming into our theme, and raise some thematic questions for yourselves as well. Would Chicago believe in Helen enough to bring her to return, right? Like she becomes the legend of Chicago in this sort of blue color. And then we have this yellow sort of Christian faith styled image of Helen. I sort of think this may be a thematic question of the chicken or the egg. I actually wonder whether or not Candyman believed in her first, because in the opening shot, as we see the overlay of Chicago, it was swarmed by bees, Candyman, and then the sky imposes on Helen. So I don't know if Candyman's choosing her first in her origins, which lures her to study the legend in Chicago, which takes her on this entire journey. I feel like this may be a chicken or the egg thing, where the end is actually the beginning and they're sort of in this cycle. And tomorrow I'll be discussing why and how they tried to recreate that cycle as well for the 2021 version. Any last thoughts, questions, and comments about the Candyman?
I can't wait to see the next one, or the one that just came out.
Yeah, and then I hope you guys can see the dissection that I'll be doing tomorrow, because I have more questions. I have more questions. What y'all doing in the chat? What's up? Oh, Mara says, this film didn't need to be made, didn't need sequels, certainly not a remake. I paid my coin to support my baby daddy, but child. What is
Yeah, I
wrong with
haven't
y'all?
seen.
Oh, so funny. Were you gonna say something, Khaled?
Yeah, I haven't seen the sequels. I don't even know if they matter. Like the two, I guess, direct-to-video sequels.
When you go watch it, please report back. I would love your take. My thing is, I want to see the movie more than once. I only saw it once because I like to spend time with movies so I can really uncover the layers. And also, I was kind of in the theater when I went to go see it, worried about another situation. So I was kind of with the screen and then with my phone and then with the screen and then with my phone. So I missed stuff anyway. But I still have questions. And as I've seen on Twitter, other people have questions as well. But Elle, anything before we sign out? Strong, quiet type.
No, I just don't have much to say about this.
Look, that's all right. That's all right. We want to support. I was about to call it a Black film, but this is not a Black film. It's a film about. It's a film. It's a film that includes Black people. It's a film that includes Black people. So thank you guys. Of course, thank you to my VIPs for joining me live and being here and sharing your minds and your energies with me as you usually do. Thank you to my beloveds in the chat, and thank you to everyone on the rewatch. I thank you all so much for your consistent support on my Patreon. It helps an indie creator like me so much. Can't wait to bring y'all my series. That's what this funding of this channel is going towards. And we're gonna make it do what it do, baby. All right. I will be back on Patreon in 2 weeks, but I'll be back on YouTube tomorrow night, 6 p.m. EST for the 2021 dissection of Candyman live. All right. See y'all later.
Peace.